the Watergate Building in Washington, this is Hotline TV. Now here are Hotline editors Amy Walter and John Mercurio.
Welcome to Hotline TV, everyone. I'm Amy Walter.
And I'm John Mercurio. Happy Caucus Day!
Yay! It's our favorite day of the year, almost. John, but have you ever wondered what it would be like to actually be in a caucus? Well, John, I think that even I may be losing a little bit of my cynicism. Is it true? I don't know what to do with it.
That's what Iowa does to people. It reminds them about what is beautiful and wonderful about
That's what happened to me. You show up at this Democratic caucus and suddenly
like
I feel like maybe, just maybe, there will be record turnout. Am I naive to think that
Are you naive?
we will finally
Are you audacious? Do you have the audacity of hope to think that there could be record turnout, that you could see somebody like Barack Obama forging together a particularly unlikely coalition of liberal Democrats, independents, sort of support voters, and black voters?
So here's what I learned in
That's
what. Well, thank you. And you know what? The difference, everybody just goes back to, well, let's go back to 2004. Everybody talked about increased turnout. It only increased a very small amount where there's no way you're going to get to 160, 170,000 folks turning out. And yet, this is a very different year than it was in 2004. Democrats are coming into this election with a level of enthusiasm and hopefulness, shall we say, not trying to take it from anybody else's campaign, that they haven't had before. And the fact is that this has been a completely positive campaign. In theory,
the Democrats,
I'm just talking about Democratic side, because it's been basically completely positive, at least on TV. All the back and forth has been through press and surrogates.
Campaign staff.
All right, so that we hear this all the time from good government folks that say, well, more people would get involved in campaigns if it weren't so negative. If people, this is the perfect test case. You have the weather's nice, no excuse there.
Right.
This has been completely positive campaign, no slash and burn ads on TV, nobody going with last minute, behind the scenes calls or those sorts of things. Perfect scenario. If it doesn't happen now, hard to believe it.
So who does that help win? So who wins?
So it helps Obama.
So it helps Obama.
Right.
So you think that the tracking polling showing him ahead is...
Well, there's the tracking poll showing him ahead, and then there's Des Moines Register that who sort of started this discussion about independents and new caucus
It's
voters.
unlikely. It's going to be very close, though. I think it's going to be closer than the 7 points that he was up in. Was it the tracking poll or the DMR poll? But I do think he will win. I think you were right on that, and that he will go into New Hampshire with a huge bounce. Look, I mean, this is a big deal. This is what we're watching for. But let's talk quickly about the Republicans, the Republican side of the aisle. I still think Romney pulls it out. I do. I think he's better organized. I think that these caucuses, which are not primaries, are about organization. I haven't seen or heard of any real concrete evidence that this Huckabee boomlet, which does already seem to have been subsiding earlier this week, has translated into a really sort of masterful level of organization, Ed Rollins aside, and we saw the sort of disarray that existed in the campaign with the ad that they pulled after showing it to the media. So I think Romney pulls it out. Well,
I mean, I think that everything you say is very true, except what we do know about these caucuses, that yes, getting your folks to the polls, et cetera, is a big piece of it. But the fact is, there's always been less enthusiasm on the Republican side, and the kinds of people who will not turn away are the kinds of people who are Huckabee supporters, i.e. the social conservatives, the homeschoolers, the kind of folks who know that this, to them, is the most important thing they're going to do tonight. The kinds of people that a Romney needs, the more establishment folks, the kinds of people he has been spending a lot of time wooing, those are the people who, yes, they may be turned off by what's been happening with Huckabee recently, but also may just decide, I'm really not happy with anything that I see here. And the bigger story, of course, is where is John McCain?
Just going to ask
How on earth is this happening?
The third place in Iowa.
How is this happening?
Third place in Iowa for the Republicans is really going to be, I think, if not the biggest, then the second biggest story. If it's McCain,
and if it's close, I mean, at 15 points, that's not worthwhile. But if John McCain is able to come back and say, look, I came back in a state where I spent no money, where they basically ran me out on a rail because of my positions on immigration. And ethanol, among other things, tax cuts, etc. Now I'm coming into New Hampshire already he's tied or ahead, depending on which poll that you look at, and can say all this other stuff, water under the bridge. Let's face it, I look a lot better as a general election candidate than any of these other folks that you've had a chance to look at for the past few months.
And now you're starting to worry about the fact that the election's getting closer and you need an electable person on the ticket. All right.
Ooh,
we have a lot of things to say.
We had a lot to say. And you know what? I can't wait for more confetti, because I think we have more confetti tomorrow. We're going to stay up all night, right?
We'll be here.
Yes.
We'll see you tomorrow. But you can stay tuned to On Call, the heartbeat of the hotline, tonight for up-to-date hotline coverage of the Iowa caucuses.
Yeah, and then we'll see you tomorrow when we will be here to look at the results.